Hey everyone, Zach here from Superbrand Tools. If you have a decent sized lawn or garden like me, then chances are you probably need a chainsaw. So I think the question on all of our minds is the SuperSaw really the best chainsaw for under $200? Let's start unboxing and find out. All right, so I got my SuperSaw right here, ready to start unboxing. First thing we have here is the SuperSaw itself, and I can tell you first impressions, I really like it. It fits nicely in my hand. It's nice and compact, just as advertised. In fact, I don't really know if I've ever used or felt a chainsaw that's quite this compact and quite this comfortable in my hand. It feels nice and premium, the grip does, and yeah, I can't wait to try this out. This is really exciting. Okay, and then we also have the 21 volt lithium ion battery. This is gonna come in handy with gas prices soaring. And we have the blade guard here, as well as the guide plate. And then we got the chain itself, of course, right there, a charger, and we've got two helpful tools that are gonna help us set up this later. And of course, we got the setup guide. So everything here looks all good. I think we're ready to start setting this up and testing it out. All right, so we have our SuperSaw here and it's ready to be set up. Now the first thing you're gonna wanna do, if you haven't already, is just push this button, take the battery out. You don't want the saw going off while you're trying to set it up. That could be bad. Then you're gonna take this included wrench right here and you're just gonna loosen this bolt a little bit so we can get it off with our fingers. Once we do, we're just gonna set that bolt aside. Okay, and so now it's time to get the chain on, but before we can, we need to loosen the tension screw right here so that we can actually fit the guide plate onto the saw itself. And the way you do that is you take the included screwdriver and you just loosen it counterclockwise to the left. And as you do that, you'll notice that this little nut right here moves all the way to the bottom position. That's exactly where you want it to be. Okay, so set this down. Now we have to make sure that we put this chain on correctly because there is a sharp and a blunt end on every chainsaw chain. And you'll see right here, this is the sharp side with the little hook right there, and the blunt side is, well, blunt, and it's right here on the left, okay? And so if you actually look on the SuperSaw itself, it tells us the right way to put the chain on for the best cutting power. And so what you'll see here is you'll see right here on the right, it has the sharp side. Right here on the left, it has the blunt side. That's because the chain's gonna be rotating this way, and the sharp end needs to be going this way so that you can cut properly. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take our included guide plate and we're going to just loosely string the chain on the correct way. And so you can see here, I have it on so that the sharp end is right here on this side, facing that way, and the blunt end is on this side, facing that way. Okay, and once you got that loosely set up on the guide plate right there, you can fit the guide plate onto the saw itself. You want to make sure that you string it up at the bottom here first so that it's nice and tight around the bottom right there. You want to make sure that there's no looseness there. You want to make sure it's completely tense. And then once you do that, you're going to want to hold this down with your thumb and you're going to want to tighten the saw itself. So we're going to go back over here to where we loosened it before, and we're going to move it clockwise to the right now. And as we do that, the chain is going to tighten onto the guide plate. So we're just going to keep screwing until we get it nice and tight. Let's keep going. Keep going. Just want to get it nice and tight so that chain doesn't fall off at all. Great. Yep. And once you have it tight enough, we can now put the guard over the top. So you're just going to want to fold that back, put that down over the top like so that it fits over the bolt right there. And now we'll grab this, put that on with our fingers, and we'll tighten it up with the included wrench. Once that's nice and tight, you can plug in your battery and your saw's ready to go. All right, so now that I got my SuperSaw set up and I got my safety glasses on because safety first, I'm gonna take this thing outside, put it through some tests, and then bring it back in the garage for some more tests. I'm gonna let you guys know what I think. right, so I just got done using the SuperSaw for the first time, and I gotta say, my first impression is that I really like the SuperSaw. One of the things that stood out the most to me is just how easy to set up the saw was. One nut, one screw, and you string up the chain and you're ready to go. I mean, it took me just mere minutes to get this thing outside, lopping off branches, and I gotta say, I really appreciate how easy it was to set up this saw. And on top of that, it was insanely powerful. This little guy packs a huge punch. It's got a 2,000 RPM copper motor, and that really shows in the tests. It was making light work of any branch that I threw at it. Small branches, large branches. I cut a full-size log here in the garage just for test purposes, and this thing is cutting through all those things like butter, and I gotta say, that really shocked me. I've never used a saw this small, and the fact that it is so powerful and packs this big of a punch is a major plus. On top of that, it's got the 21-volt lithium-ion battery, and that was a major plus for me. I got this saw to work for just over an hour of use for me, but I know it's rated for 2 hours of hard use and 4 hours of mild use. I mean, that's incredible for a saw like this because it's so compact, so small, and it can last for so long on top of that. I just don't know how you can beat it. And on top of that, you don't have to mix gas. You don't have to deal with gas prices, paying for gas, doing all that. It's clean, it's eco-friendly. It's the perfect option for anybody that's looking for a nice mid-range saw around the house. And that brings me to my final point. It would be easy for most people to use this type of tool, and that's something that I also really appreciated about it. A lot of times when I'm using the bigger chainsaws, it can feel really unsafe to reach up for higher branches above your head. You have to use two hands on the saw, so you can't really reach the branches that are falling at you after you chop them off. It just feels very dangerous, and I'm always getting bonked in the head by branches. But with this guy, I was able to keep one hand on the saw. It's got the one button use, and then I was able to put my other hand on the branch, and man, that was perfect for me. I cannot say enough. I know a lot of the tinier saws on the market like this don't really offer the one-hand use. They've got the other handle that you still have to hold like a traditional chainsaw. I gotta say, I really appreciated that the SuperSaw was compact and small enough that I could use it with one hand because it made trimming those higher branches feel a lot more safe, a lot more feasible for me than using a bigger chainsaw. So that brings me to my original question, which is the SuperSaw really the best compact saw on the market for under $200? I think the SuperSaw is easily the best saw on the market for under $200. That's because it's so easy to set up. You can set it up in minutes. It's so easy to use. It's only got the single button that you need to use. It's so powerful with the 2,000 RPM copper motor. It can last you hours of hard use with the lithium-ion battery. I think all those things included make this saw a no-brainer, and I would recommend it to anybody that's looking for a good compact saw to use around the house.